I've had quite a few people asking me about the electrical setup in here just recently, so I thought, given that I've got to take the seat apart to tidy up some electrical bits in here, I thought I'd show you around. I'll try and start at the beginning because this can get a little bit complicated. So basically, the van is plugged in with the electric hookup in the normal way, and it kind of travels around the van. Obviously it goes to the Sargent unit first, and then the Sargent unit powers a 240 volt spur, a series of spurs. There's one that goes around the back of the van and comes to the outside socket. But there's also a string that comes this way from the back of the van up to behind the TV, and then also drops down and comes underneath the ledge behind the cab, and it comes around to, there's a socket just behind the passenger seat down here. On the back of the socket there's basically an in and an out on the back of these sockets, so it's a 240 volt socket plate, and then on the back there's two wires. There's one where the 240 volts comes in, and there's one where the 240 volts continues around the side of the van. So what I've done here is I've unplugged the input to that socket. So instead of going to the socket, it goes to an inverter, because I've got a Renogy inverter that sits underneath the passenger seat, and that is powered by the electrical system. So if I'm on hookup, then the Renogy inverter goes live, and then that in turn then powers the Ecoflow that I've got here under this seat, and the Ecoflow then powers the rest of that spur. So it goes back to that socket, it powers that socket, and then that in turn then goes on to power the two sockets that are over the kitchen and the microwave. So the power flow, the Ecoflow power system here, even if I've not got electric hookup, it will still power the microwave, the air fryer, or whatever I've got going off in the kitchen. And when the electric hookup is there, then the inverter then powers the Ecoflow and charges that up. Now the reason it goes through the inverter is because when I'm driving, then the inverter is then powered from the 12 volt vehicle battery, and that then also powers up the inverter, and then under those circumstances it also charges the Ecoflow. So just to recap then, I'm either on electric hookup and charging the Ecoflow, or I'm driving and charging the Ecoflow, and I don't have to make any changes to any connections to make that happen. So if I'm driving, it just charges up. If I'm on hookup, it just charges up. If I'm off grid, then it doesn't matter. I'm now using the power that's in the Ecoflow to power these electrical sockets around the perimeter of the van and power the kitchen. Under all of those circumstances, I can use the microwave and the air fryer. So whether I'm on hookup or whether I'm off grid, I can always use those as long as I've got power in the Ecoflow. So let me just show you what I've got in the seats area down here. Might make a little bit more sense, but first of all I'll show you where the inverter is. Okay, so underneath the seat here, this is where the toolkit is normally, but I've removed the toolkit in favour of this Renogy inverter. On the back of the inverter there is a remote connection, which it originally comes with a switch where you can manually switch the system on and off. In my case though, what I've actually done is I've made a lead which goes live and triggers that remote switch when the engine's running. So basically, if that Renogy inverter was just literally connected to the vehicle battery, it would just drain the vehicle battery. But we need to make sure that it's only powered up when the vehicle engine is actually running. Otherwise we're going to end up flattening that battery. What I also found was that even at tickover there wasn't enough supply from the alternator to effectively power the inverter, and so the inverter was still pulling the vehicle battery voltage down too far, and then the inverter was alarming and stopping. So what I did was I got a circuit board off Amazon, and this is a delay circuit. So the vehicle battery, the vehicle engine voltage goes up when the engine's running, but that circuit board counts something like 30 seconds or so before then turning the inverter on. And then if it does drop the vehicle, if it's still at tick over and it pulls the voltage too low, then it will count 30 seconds again before trying again. So that actually works quite well. For those who are interested, this is the gear for powering the Starlink. So this is a step up transformer. This is a 12 volt input off the back of the Ecoflow. The Ecoflow's sat here. 12 volt input powers this. This steps up to 48 volts and powers this power over Ethernet injector, and then that then powers the aerial, the dishy connection. So I then take another feed out of the back of here, which goes directly to my TP-Link router. My TP-Link router is roughly in the cupboard above the fridge at the moment. I have yet to decide where I'm going to store that permanently, but it gets a good signal here, but it's more convenient in there. But yeah, I haven't quite decided which way around I'm going to do it. So at the moment, if I'm using the dishy is outside, and the network cable needs to come across and plug into that router. That was perhaps oversimplifying things a little bit. There are other connections in here. You'll have noticed other wires that are doing all the kinds of things. There's situations like I can use the solar panel from the roof. I can reconnect it above the microwave, and that will actually power the Ecoflow if I wanted to. There's also another 12 volt connection from the engine running. That will go into the back where the solar panel would go as well. There's lots of USB ports on the front of the Ecoflow, and I've used those to power various things. So you'll have noticed near the Starlink stuff was the Blink sync device. So that is for the CCTV, which you'll have seen in another video of mine. I'll try and put a link above my head. So basically, I'm trying to keep everything in this cupboard as much as I can, but there's USB going around to power mobile phone charging. There's also a lead above the dashboard for the 360 camera that I use when I'm driving. So there's various bits and bobs, but essentially the most important thing is that the Ecoflow creates this mains spur, so that I can power the microwave, but also I can power the Starlink. For me, I spend a lot of time off grid, so the ability to have the microwave and the air fryer and the Starlink and all these things powered up off the Ecoflow is a big thing for me. Relying on the leisure battery, I wouldn't really get very far. So that's my electrical system in the basics. I'll probably make other videos about specific items within that, and if there's anything in particular that you've seen that you want to have more explanation of, or you want me to go through how I've done this, then please put some comments down below, and I'll come back to you, and I'll try and make some more content for you. But for now, please subscribe to the channel, give us a like, it really helps the channel, and it's all free.